Hello there. Today's guest will be a familiar face to many, having performed across theatre, television and film. The Royal Shakespeare Company, the National Theatre's hugely successful One Man Two Guvnors, Eastenders, Changing Ends as Alan's aunty Terri, Casualty, Sky TV's In the Long Run. Their credits are too numerous to mention in full. But in everything they do, be it on stage or screen, they possess a rare knack of bringing relatable, authentic characters to life. Characters audiences truly feel they know. And we'll talk about that today. In addition to her career as a performer, she is an award-winning fundraiser for the Anthony Nolan Trust and a passionate campaigner and ambassador for the Children's Society. But these are the headlines, and it's the bits in between that we're going to dive into today. Currently starring in Jim Cartwright's 2, she's stepping out from behind the bar to have a quick drink with us before it gets busy. I'm Shep, and this episode we're getting notes from Kellie Shirley. Let's do it. Okay, Kellie, welcome.
That was lovely.
Yeah?
That was so good.
Thank you very much. I'll take that. How are you doing? I feel like this is a busy spell.
It is busy. Just because, obviously, like doing a show, and I've got 3 children, and I haven't really seen them very much, but they were so crazy this morning. So they've left all the horrible bits for me.
Great, okay. I mean, that because what time do you normally get back in the evenings then from the theatre?
Because I mix business with pleasure, and lots of my friends are coming down to see the show, I got in at midnight last night, and I was up at 7, which isn't too bad, but I couldn't sleep because I was so wired. Yeah. And just like seeing people that I hadn't seen in a long time and having a great chat, and they're really liking the show, and it's fun and it's traumatic as well, and people just want to like dig into it and chat about it, which is great. And then obviously just catching up just normally, and then I've got a 3-year-old jumping on my head. I'm like, why did I have the extra glass of wine?
I think it's that you just said. There's so much to unpack with you today, and we only have so much time. So I'll try and pick the best bits, I think, of what will really appeal to our audience. The whole purpose of what we're trying to do here is to be useful to potentially a younger you or somebody wanting to learn more about or come into the industry. And you've had a fantastic career that's very diverse, and you're still quite diverse in the different projects you're doing. So lots to talk about. But we'll try and keep it authentic as well and just follow what feels interesting. What you've just mentioned there, I find quite interesting, is people's post-show ritual. Because you are on such a high, you are kind of buzzing, and it can be quite hard when you get home and you need that sleep to like decompress. So do you have a ritual or a method, or is that an ongoing struggle?
No, it is a struggle. I suppose the main thing is I have my little I'm such a nana. My little bedtime tea.
Yep.
It's like a little just calming tea.
What flavour are we talking?
It's called bedtime tea.
Oh, all right, okay.
And you can get them in Holland and Barrett and all sorts of places, and it's just nice and calming. And then I try and keep off my phone, because that is when.
But that must be hard too, because people must immediately after they've seen the show, if you're not meeting them for a drink, they must be kind of congratulating you or reaching out, and also just people in the audience too.
Or just admin, as well, like just keeping on being a mum and making sure I've done everything for the next day and catching up on stuff and all that, just life. Yeah. Just life. But then everything's on a phone, then you can't sleep.
Yeah.
So I do like to have a look. I'd like to have a read of some magazines.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Or a book.
Yeah. I find it really interesting because it is hard, that trying to kind of just settle and kind of come down, and then before you know it, particularly if you've got little ones, you're then up again at the crack and off you go.
That's why I'm wearing so much makeup today, just because I look like I've been dug up, honestly.
No
comment.
You look great. We were talking about Donald Trump just before that, and there's no reference at all to be made there. So
because my makeup is quite orange. Yes.
No, but you said that.
I
didn't say that, to be clear.
Yeah, my kids say that to me.
Right. Well, I was saying that you look unchanged from your time on the square, which is 20 years ago. Did you say?
Yeah, I started in 2005. and then I left for good in 2012.
Right. Okay. Crazy. Okay, let me try and achieve some structure here. So we normally kick off with common ground.
Yes.
Now, you and I not met before until last week in a pub, which we'll talk about in a moment. But we do have some friends in common. Just before the interview, Amy Cudden, who we interviewed a couple of weeks ago, she said she shared a dressing room with you for 8 months.
Yeah.
She described you as a fabulous actor and one of the most generous people she's ever met.
Oh, that's very nice.
That's all right, isn't it?
I mean, she's the same.
Yeah, she was marvellous, and it was a great interview with her too. But we did meet in a pub last week. I came to see you and Peter Caulfield in 2 at the Park Theatre. Extraordinary, and there's a lot that I want to unpack about that. How long have you been doing the show now?
So we started off in Greenwich. I think it was the summer. I can't quite remember. I know altogether we've done about 10 weeks now of it.
And has this been your first time with the material, with the piece, or have you ever done it before in any form? Or
so, like I said, so did it in Greenwich first, in the actual bar in the theatre, and then it did a 3-week run. It was extended by another 2 weeks, and people just really loved it because it was immersive, because we were pulling pints.
Yeah.
Well, you've seen it, but now we've moved it to the Park Theatre. It is, you can choose. You can be one of our punters and be on the stage and be in the action, or you can choose to be a voyeur and just an audience member and just kind of like soak it up and not be picked on. So we went for pub table, but second row. So we got a little bit of a safety barrier there. And I want to talk to you about that proximity to the audience in a minute, because I think that's really interesting. But it's an incredible piece, and it's an intimate space. And for anybody who doesn't know 2 by Jim Cartwright, I think the tagline is it's a love letter to pubs and to the English pub culture, which is a dying culture, like as is community in some ways. It's so sad, and it's a beautiful sized space that it's in now, and sure enough, as you walk into the venue, there you are, like pulling pints and prepping behind the bar, and it feels so familiar and to me like nostalgic, like we grew up going to pubs with our family and friends, and the stories that you tell feel familiar and relatable, and we as the audience know the people that you're portraying. You and Peter portray how many different characters between you? So there's 14. We've got 7 each. Pete goes from being about 6 years old to 80, and I go from like 18 to 80.
And these transitions sometimes are rapid, like it's the removal of a jacket or the throwing on of a hat or a jumper. And how do you hone those transitions? Like, what's that like as an actor? Because you're not just changing outfit, there's a whole headspace transition going on.
Yeah, I mean, it's so quick. We can't sometimes even think. It's literally, you've seen it, seconds. But obviously, we've had rehearsals to, develop each character. And I love pubs.
Yeah.
And I go to the pub not just because I like drinking. Sometimes it's good just go for a good old roast dinner, or I love playing darts and pool. And so Pete and I, we did some research. We went to different pubs. My favourite pub is the Blyfield Tavern, which is in Catford. It's a proper spit and sawdust place. There's no food there. There's a pizza oven outside now on a Friday, but apart from that, there's no food.
It's a pub. It's a
proper pub. They show the horse racing and the football, and you go there for a proper chat. People aren't on their phones.
Yeah,
it's proper. And so I took Pete there, and he was like, I love this place so much. And we chatted to the landlord there, Terri, just about his experience of being a pub landlord. And then there's a brilliant pub near here where we're recording today in Deptford, called The Graduate. And we went into The Graduate, and the pub landlord there, who's an Irish guy, let us go in there and experience his night and trying to do like chucking out customers really late at night when they've, you know, had this right skinful. And so we just did some proper research, going around to different pubs. We went to pubs up in the West End of London, chatted to the characters that we were portraying, just to get as much...
Chat as in you would identify, oh, that's the old man, or that's the...
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, but the landlord and the landlady, like specifically, and it's like the old, like you're saying, an old person that was, you know, who's nursing a pint for hours on end, and just having little chats and, you know, looking at the way that they were, and just like really watching, you know, things unfold. And then we were talking about, you know, that brilliant documentary that Louis Theroux's done, The Manosphere.
Yes.
And there, you know, there's a piece in there that's about coercive control. And so, well, in 2 there's a bit about coercive control. And then it just seemed like, wow, this is so relevant for today. Like,
I think it, despite the fact that pubs, traditional pubs, there are fewer and fewer, you know, kind of year on year, which is very sad. The piece itself does feel as relevant as ever, and it, in terms of like, people like to say immersive or immersion a lot, but you really did feel like you were in the pub, and you, the rest of the audience naturally feel like the regulars and the locals too, and you're pivoting between all these different relatable characters that I guess some will be more or less relatable to people as well. And there were different kind of palpable moments, I think, for me and for anybody watching. I found the old woman really moving. And as you say, like that the pub, that moment, her hearth is her salvation. It's her escape from, as she describes, a very physically, emotionally and psychologically demanding life that is all that she's got left, that she's reckoning with. But that time in the pub is her
breather,
her break from it, her escape.
Yeah.
And not necessarily sat talking to people that she knows, but to anybody that just happens to be there.
Just to have a chat with somebody, anybody.
I found that really moving. And you talk about, you know, going up the stairs and taking the breather. That really got me. But there are lots of other really powerful moments that you're pivoting between, and I really felt for Peter at one point, who is playing the controlling partner in the couple, and I almost got an anxiety because I thought in a few moments he's going to have to pivot back to the landlord, and it's such a
and he did
gear change, and then for both of you, that this couple in the pub, there's something they're not talking about, which comes to a head immediately before the curtain call. Like, it's just, there's such epic transitions you're having to make, and I wondered, is there a breather in there for you? Is there a character or a moment where you're kind of like, oh, at least I can just rest here, or is it just relentless?
It is relentless, but I mean, James Hadgel, our director, was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to power through and do the whole piece in 70 minutes? Or do you want to have a break? And you know, and we were like, we just need to have a little bit of a break, because it's so well written, it's so powerful, and it's so emotional, and yeah, it's funny and all these things, but we need just to have a little break, just to kind of like collect ourselves, because like you say, the transitions are so quick that we just need to sometimes just have that break to go, right, okay, what's coming up? I need to do this. Need to set everything, make sure everything's in the right place, in the way that the theatre is, and so. Yeah, we have a time, like we have just 10 minutes.
I'm glad from an audience perspective that you have a break. I think the audience need a little bit of a, this is full on. And like you say, it plucks every emotion throughout. It's funny, it's witty, it's rapid. The characterization is fantastic. Great, like, solo moments, but then, like, such great interplay between you and Peter is, like, you know, all these different characters. And it actually... I came with a couple of friends who were all kind of in the industry, and we all left having absolutely loved it and being moved by it. But as well as it being a love letter to pubs, I think it's a love letter to kind of the power of traditional theatre as well. And, it's quite a simple set and technical setup, but the two of you like absolutely shine, and it's wholly dependent on your individual and joint performances. What have you learned through that process working with Pete, and what do you think will be your takeaway from this piece to have worked on?
I mean, first of all, I'm really pleased I'm working with Pete, because he's got a twinkle in his eye.
Yeah.
He doesn't take himself too seriously, and even though we, like you say, like he's very traumatic in and challenging, and for the audience as well as us,
Absolutely,
to delve into stuff. I think that if Pete was it was really serious the whole time, it'd just be a bit too much.
Yeah.
So obviously we take those subject matters and those characters seriously, but we have a real laugh together as well. And Pete doesn't, some actors like give you notes and stuff, and you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and you missed that line or whatever. Like, that's what live theatre's about,
Yeah.
And then that's the joy of it. Or riffing off of somebody in the audience, or a prop's not there and you're having to do a little improvisation, and then that becomes, really fun, and something, exciting comes of it. And that's the joy of it. And so that's what I really love about Pete, that he's brilliant at improvising. He's very funny. He's a bit naughty. And he won't mind me saying this, but I think because he's gay as well, there's no there's no weirdness between us. And I don't know what people take away from that, but I just feel so comfortable with him. Like I could literally just snog him on stage, and it'd be right for the character, but there wouldn't be any weirdness between us.
Yeah.
And for me, that really works, like between me and him, and I think he probably feels the same. That that I'm not going to suddenly be like, oh, we're going to have like some kind of weird showmance.
Yeah.
It's just like business on stage, and then
You look like two actors who really know each other and have an unfiltered collaboration like that.
Totally.
Absolutely comes across, and there are like. Please go and see this show. It's at the Park Theatre. It's running until the
25th of April.
Right. So this will go out quickly. I thought it was extraordinary, and I thought the range and the impact and the power of the performances is just really, yeah. And those little moments of improv that you mentioned as well. A friend of mine, Graham, who's a choreographer, who came with us. I went and collected the drinks from the bar. I got a pint and 2 wines. And then you came over to top up the wines. And the second time you came over, as you poured, I didn't catch the whole thing that you said, but you said something stupid little dribble, and you poured it in. And for the rest of the week, we were calling Graham stupid little dribble, and actually have changed his name in the phone. But it really tickled us. And it was, again, just that authenticity and genuine, actual immersion of feeling like you were there. When you are in proximity to the audience, and again, I remember watching you as the old lady, the audience don't have agency so much, and they're expected to verbally respond or engage with you. But you are delivering material sometimes directly to people.
I mean, we're as close as this.
Absolutely.
Closer.
It's a risk, that is, in some ways. Or how prepared are you for what might happen in those? People laugh at different things. People might feel awkward about different things. People might also feel like triggered about different topics, I guess.
I mean, yesterday it was glorious. I had this old guy sat to my right on that table at the front where I do the old lady speech. He's literally like an inch away from me, and he moves right in as if we're having a proper chat, and he starts talking back to me, and he gets his cup, his glass, and he cheers me, and I'm talking about my life, and he's going, oh yeah, it's hard, isn't it? It was like Gogglebox. He was so invested in it, and he completely lost himself in what I was saying and what I was doing. And then right at the end, I had a couple of mates in, and they said, oh, the guy who you were chatting to. Oh, and also in the Moth and Maudie bit, I gave him my handbag when I did my dance routine, which he loved. Having my bag, and was looking inside my bag what I had, and the characters' fags and notes and all like little bits and bobs that Maudie has, and he's really loving it and getting it all out and look. And so at the end, he came over to my friends and he said, "Oh, you know the actress, don't you?" And they said, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, I heard about this play and I wanted to come because I was a pub landlord in the 80s." And he said it was so true to my life and it was so nostalgic. And he said, "I just want you all to know that you got to just live your life and be present because it goes so quickly, and just be in the real moment and tell people that you love them." He said that really did something for my soul. And then when Zoe and Barbara told me, I was like, this is what it's about. This is so lovely that it meant so much to this guy that came on his own, that had that experience, that was reliving it, and just, it was great. It was so nice. And it is hard when people are chatting back to you, but then it's just really nice.
Yeah. Because in that situation, how tied to the script are you? Like, what in your mind, like, what are the rules? Regardless of what they come back with, are you holding true to the page and trying to get through that?
Trying to get through it, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
As much as possible, because Pete's listening out for my cues as well to come in.
Of course.
So I can't go off piece too much, a little bit. And then had this younger guy as well who came, and with my Mrs. Iger, who's all she's got the henpecked husband.
Big man.
The big man speech. And I was directing it to this young guy, and he was like wanting to come up to me as well. And so when I was saying to him, "Let me, come here, let me groom and coddle you and all this," and he was like, "Can I?" And I was like, "No, no, you can't come up to me. I'm doing a speech." But he was really, it's weird. It's just how people just, and I think it's because we are so close to people.
Yeah.
That you're like, what are the rules?
And you're making it feel so real and natural. So it is a I was interested in that. It is a lot to navigate that. Yeah. I absolutely loved it. And I grew up in pubs as well, so I found it quite like meaningful in that respect.
Yeah, how important they are, the community.
Which is what we're lacking. Cliche, but like tech and digital is supposed to connect people, and it drives you further apart.
Of course
and
it does.
So much is achieved. Sounds silly, but so much is achieved in a pub by a community talking to each other and knowing what each other are going through. And
random people different people from all sorts of walks of life, having a chat, having a laugh. It's such a shame we're losing post offices and banks.
All of the high street staples.
All the stuff,
fading away.
Libraries, everything that, and the public house is so important. And I love all the stuff that Al Murray's doing to try and celebrate pubs as much as possible. And I keep on saying this, it's become kind of like my mantra, but use it or lose it. And that's what he says, and I do that.
Yeah, excellent. Can we dive back just to the beginning? What was your kind of start in the industry? What were your earliest introductions to acting and training and life as a performer?
I went along to Croydon Panto when I was about 6 or 7, and it was in the late 80s, and it was Rod Hull and Emu and Grot Bags and Teabag and T-shirt. Does this mean anything to you?
100%. Yeah, that's bang on my ear. I think there's only a year or two between us. Mm-hmm. That is bang on my era.
Oh, perfect. And so they were starring in it, and I know you had to do this thing with your elbow, stupid thing. You had to do like something silly with your elbow, and then you can go up on stage. And so I went up on stage and I cried for my dad, and my dad had to come up. And then Grot Bags, she told me that she put Rice Krispies all over her face and painted them, and that they weren't real. And then it just clicked that she was playing a character, and actually she wasn't really Grot Bags. And yeah. And then I said something funny. I don't know what it was. Obviously, I was little, and then people laughed, and then I got that, and got the, people clapping, and then that was it. I was like, I want to be an actress. I want to have Rice Krispies over my face.
So how then did that start to inform choices? Did you get involved in kind of anything locally or Amdram or educationally? How did it start to inform choices, I guess?
My mum and dad weren't from that kind of background. And my mum found a little drama club that was above a laundrette in South East London. It was called Patricia Hammond's. Kevin Bishop went there. And so I've known Kevin since I was about 9 or 10. And we just went there and like recited The Hungry Caterpillar and things like that. And it was just really, really good. And it was just like a couple of quid, £3 or something. And then they did a little show that was in a scout hut. And again, all the parents were called, and it was just really fun. And I just got that thing again, you know, that, I want to do this. And then I auditioned for Brit School when I was 15, got a place there, and then I went to Webber Douglas. I got a Dance and Drama Award. It was when Labour ends, and so with Labour, one of the good things about them, they had lots of scholarships back then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't have been able to have gone because, you know, the fees are really expensive. So, you know, thank you, Labour government.
And you described that as like quite a seamless route, but did you get the standard kind of advice against going into it as a career or as an industry, or did your parents empower you to go for it, or?
I think, I mean, everything was off my own back, you know, like I with Brit School, I saw an advertisement in the news shopper, like local newspaper. I cut it out and said, you know, can I go along to audition? And I got myself, I learnt my audition pieces, I researched them.
What did you do? Can you remember?
I did Puck, A Midsummer Night's Dream, and I did a speed garage dance routine with my friend Daryl. They went do 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 do. And what else did I do? I think I can't remember what my contemporary one was. I can't remember what it was. And then call back, and then you get to do like a big audition with loads of different people and improvising and stuff. And it was just brilliant. I loved it so much. And I'm still friends with Stuart Walden, who runs Brit School now. He came to C2 when he was at Greenwich, and he calls me his original OG.
The OG?
Yeah.
I like that. At the end of the interview, if it's okay, I won't ask you to do the Puck monologue, but I would like to see the dance if that's all right. Yeah? I think we'll close on that, George. I think. So, and how was training for you? Did you find your people? Did that kind of cement, obviously, a desire to go into this as an industry, or were there challenges along the way, or what did you learn about yourself during your time training?
I mean, Brit was just an incredible place to be because it
must have been quite. Was it newish? How old was it at that time?
I think it was 10 years old.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. So people from Eternal had been there. Dane Bowers has been there. Who else? Oh, I don't know. I mean, loads of people have been through that school, and then when I was there, I wasn't sure about going to drama school because of how expensive it was. So I was looking at places like Bretton Hall.
That's where I went.
Hey!
And Amy Cudden also.
Yes.
That's where I met her, yeah.
So looking, and do you know Sarah Quintrell? She went there as well. And she...
I know the name, but no.
So she was a little bit older than me at the school I went to called Darrick Wood that's in Orpington. And she is an amazing writer, and she's written The Other Bennett Sister, and she wrote On the Power. Anyway, she went to Bretton Hall. I think Mark Gatiss went there as well.
Yes, he did, yeah.
Yeah. So I was really interested into going there because Sarah had been there. And then my drama teacher, Imogen, she's just said, Kelly, you should just try for drama school. You take yourself out of the equation, just go audition for it, and then cross that bridge when it comes to it. And so I was working in a nursing home in Dartford, and so I was saving up my money because obviously you have to pay to go to your drama school auditions. And so I picked to go audition for Lambda, RADA, Webber Douglas. And then with Webber D, Angela Lansbury went there, right? And Ross Kemp. And
that's range.
That is eclectic. Minnie Drive would be there. But I love Angela Lansbury. I just love her so much. Bedknobs and Broomsticks is my favourite film of all time.
Really? Okay.
Oh, I love it
Good
so
choice.
much. And so I wanted, my heart was set on Webber Douglas. It was a bit kooky, a bit weird.
Yeah.
And it was in this funny theatre that had a great big cockerel above it, next door to a pub. Great. And I just really wanted to go there.
Did you have a sense of identity then about the kind of performer you were going to be? Because I look at you and I see somebody who's capable of taking a traditional lead, but also obviously very comfortable in character roles.
Why aren't you my agent?
Let's talk afterwards. What did you know of yourself at that time then? Did you have any kind of positioning of yourself or what you thought you were going to fit well with?
All I thought was because I'd been at Brit School and I was doing loads and loads of dancing all the time, and then I went to Webber Douglas and my eating was so bad and I absolutely ballooned and I was drinking loads, eating badly, and then Mr. Jago, who ran Webber Douglas, just said to me, we went through having a big circle of talking about casting brackets and what kind of parts that we would play and all this. And then he said to me afterwards, he said, you are only going to play the fat friend if you don't do something about your lifestyle, and you need to be back doing exercise, back doing dancing. And he got me in touch with a nutritionist, and she taught me how to eat properly. And because my mum and dad were working shifts all the time, and so we'd have like loads of microwave meals. I used to eat loads of Pop-Tarts, like really bad. And he was right, I was completely embarrassed by it. But
literally yesterday, I was doing a tech run with a cast, and in between, while we were recalibrating lights, we got into a conversation with one of the girls, and her and I were both talking about weight fluctuating, lifestyle, rituals and things like that, and sometimes the challenges with the lifestyle. And we were actually talking about how when you train, for all the things that you learn and for all the things that you're taught, certainly back then when we were doing it, there wasn't a lot of chat around lifestyle, nutrition, diet,
yourself.
Like mental health, looking after yourself. I think there's more of that now, but that sounds like you had quite a kind of healthy or useful intervention there from somebody.
I really did, and I'm so grateful to him for caring and not sitting on the fence about it, because I didn't feel good about myself. And he's like, you're good and you deserve to do other things than just being the fat friend. And so I did. I worked really hard on it, and I started going back. I went to Pineapple Dance Studios as much as I could, because you got a discount with your student equity card, and just ate better. And then my casting chat, opened up. And there's nothing wrong about being the fat friend, obviously, and there can be great comedy roles and
well, it's being in control of your situation, isn't it? And I guess your form being a result of what you're trying to achieve, rather than a side effect of not living well or not managing things. How do you do now, out of interest? Because you've said like busy family life, very busy and diverse career. Are you a creature of habit and discipline and rituals, or is it like whatever gets you through?
A bit of both, really. I'm a complete contradiction, of course. I haven't had any breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
But then that's, it's like when you do a show anyway, your eating habits are all over the shop. But I'm trying to keep out of the kebab shop, talking of shops, at night time.
My issue was always that I don't also know breakfast, rarely have breakfast. I know it's the most important meal.
Yeah.
Too much coffee, probably.
Yeah.
But I can't eat when I'm worked up or when I'm stimulated. So it's not till the end of the night when you actually come down and relax that you're then like, oh, now I can eat. And then you're like, well, if I'm going to eat, let's eat properly. Yeah. And then you feel ashamed of yourself for eating the wrong thing at the wrong time, so you don't even enjoy it. And you think, well, fucking hell. Like, it's just...
You can't win.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a little cheeky salad.
Thinking back to that time, any other kind of key influences or mentors around you that kind of shaped your trajectory or progress?
Well, like I say, this lady Imogen, what is her surname? I can't remember, but I think she works at Sonia Friedman now.
Okay.
So she really just was a woman who made me, see that I could be more than what I thought I was, and to think big, basically, that thing, don't like I say, take yourself out of the equation for things already. Just fucking go for it.
Yeah.
So her, Stuart Walden, Jago, and Hilary, who's a bit of a legend at Webber Douglas. She said this great piece of advice was that do 2 things every day that help you get a job or make you feel good about yourself, in terms of acting. Whether it write an email or watch a really good TV series, go to the theatre, do a yoga class, whatever it is, just do 2 things that help you just keep going. And that has been a really good piece of advice.
I want to jump quickly to because I think it might be relevant to this period in your life that we're talking about, to your work with BAFTA and representation and access within the arts and creative industries. Can you tell me a little bit about that project and your involvement in it? And can you also tell me what access and representation felt like for you back then and how it's changing? Sorry, it's a whopper there in 3 parts.
Whopper. I mean, so when I did In the Long Run, which was the best TV programme I've been in, because it was completely inclusive, not like ticky boxy. It was properly just authentic because it just was.
Yeah.
And so Idris is a fantastic human being and has an amazing team of people from all walks of life and behind the scenes, working for his production company and writers. So that was brilliant. But when I was on that, one of the writers, Grace, she said to me, I really think you should put yourself forward under the umbrella of Green Door, which is Idris's old company. He's now got one called 22 Summers. And she said, and we can get, we can write a recommendation of why you should be considered, because I had twins who were, I think they're about 18 months when I started that job, or 2 years old. And so I was, working with them, not working with them, but, working
Sure.
and then trying to look after them. And so Grace was just like, you're doing it. You're a working mum in the business. You don't have a nanny. You don't have a team of people helping you. And I really think that you deserve to be on this BAFTA Elevate thing. Anyway, so BAFTA Elevate is about nurturing working class talent, underrepresented groups within our industry, and so that so that people maintain their career rather than kind of like when you hit a certain age.
That's it.
Bye-bye. And so and then I got offered a place, which was brilliant. It was so brilliant. But then the pandemic, I can't say it.
Pandemic
Right.
hit.
Okay. And so it kind of like wasn't kind of how good as it could be. And also, I don't know if I can say this, but it's out there anyway, but one of the actresses who was on our BAFTA Elevate course had lied about her upbringing. And so it was obviously all about supporting a particular person, and she had lied about that. And so there was a massive investigation, and it meant that the whole of our group was then kind of like penalised-ish.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, BAFTA really tried to... They're still really brilliant at I can go to them and say, can you put me in touch with Stephen Graham, because I've got a brilliant project that Matriarch might want, whether he'll get back in touch with me or not is another thing, but they can give me, loop us into an email, which is amazing. But we were having these fantastic round tables. I mean, we started off with Martin Scorsese as, you know, a round table with, you know, with him, and Stephen Graham came and did one, and I mean, so many people who are at the top of their game, and it was just like, wow, like being in a room like this and just chatting about how did you get where you are, and it just became apparent that they're all making their own work. I mean, you know, Stephen Graham, fantastic actor, but he's making his own work. He's working with all the people that he has, you know, he loves, and giving people jobs. You know,
yeah. Which isn't that the I think as I've got older, that's become my favourite thing about the work is rather than the end result, which you never have like full control over what it's going to be or how it's going to be received. Just getting to do it with people that you love is like the best
of course
thing.
It is. It's the best. You get the best out. That's why I love being with Pete, doing it too. We're really good friends and we like each other, and it's just, it's just great.
What would your advice be to people who don't feel like at the early stage of their career don't feel like it's accessible or are struggling to see an inroad if they are from a place like, to give it context, I was lucky in that, like, I come from Stoke, very normal family. Mum was a nurse, dad was a fireman, and they were a good balance as parents, because he was like, it'll be tough, you'll always struggle for money, you know, you'll never have work. Not so a shit, but, you know, like what the industry was like. Whereas my mum is like follow your dreams, go for it. Yeah. So they were a good balance. But Stoke also had, for a very working, amazing theatre.
The old Vic? No.
You have the old Vic, you've got the Victoria Hall, you've got the new Vic in the round, you've got the Regent Theatre, the Mitchell Memorial Theatre, there's a great little rep theatre, and then at one time I had the Royal Theatre as well. So phenomenal theatre scene. So there's a lot of people around, and also, like, when I was a kid, like, Robbie had just like broken through. Anthony Turner was on Blue Peter. Neil Morrissey was, you know, Men Behaving Badly. So
Neil's a friend of mine.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, so for me, when I was a kid, he was one of those people who was like, you know, you see, people from Stoke can
doing it.
And I actually, my wife works with Pop House, which is owned by Bjorn Ulvaeus from ABBA, and I went with her a couple of years ago to Mamma Mia the Party, to like a gala event, and Anthea Turner was there, and my wife did this, like, so cringe initially, where she saw Anthea Turner, who I always like talk about being a kid, and she was on Blue Peter. This is like oversharing unnecessary. Anyway, she came over and we had just the nicest chat, and we knew all the same people, like from, you know, being in Stoke. And anyway, all this waffling.
It's not waffling. It's great.
I could see ways there were people who'd like blazed the trail. But what would you recommend for people who can't see that or can't see a clear route in?
There isn't a clear route in ever. You've got to make your own way into it, and that's the point. Like, and also you've got to graft. You've got to hustle. You've got to. No one's going to fight as hard as you are for yourself.
Nobody cares about it as much as you do.
No, of course not. And that's not to say you have to be annoying. You know, you don't have to write a million emails to just one person. It's not about that. It's about knowing, like, if you watch a really good TV program and you love it and you're like, oh, I really like the casting, like, who cast this, who directed this, and it comes from a genuine place, and you're like, I want to get in touch with Lauren Evans because I loved I Swear, you know, it was brilliant, and her casting in that, and then you go and you send an authentic email and say, I love that because of this, and it's just like a couple of sentences. And, you know, if you ever need somebody from Stoke, I am that person, or and so you put in something that's relevant about you, and then when you see something for Stoke coming up and you go, oh, Lauren, I sent you an email, and she's casting it. It just works like that, isn't it? And it takes time. It's about longevity. Every audition isn't about you getting the job. It's about longevity. And once you realise that and you go, oh, okay, you know.
We had a recent episode, we interviewed Graham Pickering, who does a lot of casting for theatre and for cruise and different entertainment. Stupid Little Dribble, FYI.
Oh, him.
Yeah. And he'll love that. He was talking, I think, almost the same as what you've said, the fine line between persistent and a pest. Like, because sometimes your face doesn't fit. Sometimes it isn't your time, but you've got to keep knocking.
Yeah.
And I really believe in what you've just said about that authentic connection as well. I think people do respond to somebody who is authentically and genuinely interested or passionate about something, or displays a reason for wanting to do something, rather than just, I want a job, I need the part.
I'll be famous.
Yeah, I think that's really useful insight. Okay, so this one of our regular features. We have a message and a bottle, which is where we furnish our guests with a drink of their choice, either a night out or a night in. And then we provide a question, which has been supplied by either somebody that knows them or knows their work in exchange. So what is your drink of choice when you're having a night out or a night in?
Bloody Mary.
Oh, nice. My mum likes a Bloody Mary.
Or Bloody Maria.
What's the difference?
Tequila.
Excellent.
I mean, tequila and tomato juice, who'd have thought it would work? But it really does.
All right, there's your recommendation. Okay. So we will furnish you with a Bloody Maria. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. And here's your question. And this comes from Cara Toynton. Cara is currently touring with the Constant wife, alongside a good friend of mine, Julian Brown. And Cara sent this question for you. Kellie, Barbara was such a huge mentor to you during and after your time on EastEnders. And I know how much you and some of our cast rallied around Scott following her illness. It blew me away. How do you carry the lessons Barbara taught you into your busy stage and screen career today?
Oh, that's nice. I miss Cara. I haven't seen her for ages. We used to be really good friends. Just, again, life. I will go and see her in her play. She's somebody who's really shown people like what she's made of. I've got a lot of love and respect for Miss Toynton.
So what was your overlap?
So we played best mates in EastEnders. So we worked together for 2.5 years. So when we were in, we were like 21 or something. It's great to see her really flourish and become a mum. And yeah, it's nice. With Barbara, I can't help but feel quite emotional about Barbara. I think about her all the time. She really had a massive effect on me, and seeing somebody suffer with dementia is just and it seems for some reason extra cruel when they're an actor when they can't remember lines, and it's just, I don't know. Yeah, and I really saw her, be this matriarch to this lovely little old lady, and she was just brilliant right till the end. Her stories were off the scale brilliant, because obviously with dementia you still remember from way back when.
Yeah.
So she always had a good yarn.
I think I live with my grandfather who's 93 and has Alzheimer's dementia, and I almost think the legacy memories sharpen somewhat as the recent memory is disappearing. They seem to be able to reach back and find more in those older. But here you were talking about somebody who would really have some stories, I guess. Yeah,
from the 60s, from the Soho heyday, and so when she got ill, a group of us, like Cara said, all wanted to just raise as much money as possible, and we did. We raised something like £1.3 million for the Alzheimer's Society, and I was asked to do it again this year, but for Pauline Quirk, but I didn't know Pauline, and I would help as much as I can. And if I'm completely honest, I haven't been. I can't run a. You have to put in hundreds and hundreds of miles on your feet, and I just haven't had a chance. And it literally is the day after I finished the play. So I
think you deserve a lie-in on that day.
So I'm gonna climb Mount Snowdon instead for the Trussell Trust, but in September. But what Cara's saying, I remember Barbara always said about you always have to have time for people for and if an audience member comes up to you, sign an autograph, listen to them, and never be too busy, never say no, always have a photograph taken, because without them you'd be nothing. And that's something that I've always taken on board. Obviously Barbara was more than an actress; she was a bloody icon.
Yeah.
And so, if anybody wants my autograph, wants to chat to me, I feel so lucky anyway. And it's just nice, like we're talking about with the old bloke MC2. It meant a lot to him. Your work means something to them. Sometimes people have saved up their money to go to the theatre to go and see your show. So, I never want to get given a performance that doesn't deserve that they've saved up to whoever it may be. And I always think that you just got to put in 100%. And she's some work ethic that she's really kind of instilled that into me. I mean, I kind of had it anyway, but she made it, be even more, because it is quite easy to get dismissive about things.
That for what little I know you, and certainly from my research, and I definitely see that in you. Did she have an awareness of what she meant to the people around her?
Barbara?
Yeah.
I think she did. I mean, certainly with me. I'd get so, like, I'm such a tactile person anyway, but I always want to cuddle, and I always want to have a cuddle. And she was great with my kids. And, but yeah, she knew that she meant a lot to me. And to other people, of course she did. I mean, you don't get that famous without. She was the people's princess, the people's queen. She meant more than royalty.
And what casting that was as well. Like, I think it elevated the whole show. It was such great casting at that time to bring her into. Julia
Crampsey, that's her. I mean, she's an amazing casting director, and she really ignited Barbara's career again, because after Carry On films, Barbara was going around all sorts of working men's clubs, being with the people. Great, of course it was, but she didn't have the career that was sustainable, for you're not getting much money doing those things. It's great, and then she got the call for EastEnders, and then her career, but like Danny Dyer, really, Danny was great actor, and he was doing, some interesting, dodgy independent films, which I've done as well. And then EastEnders really gave him that launch pad. And now obviously he's got onto the Rivals. And something actually that I want to say, and if my mum and dad do listen to this, I doubt they will, but if they do, but when I got EastEnders, my mum and dad were really kind of like down on it, and they were like, oh God, we're going to have to watch that crap and all this. And I was really excited about it, because I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in Albert Square, and I'm going to be
in a great role,
a regular part, and it's going to be Phil Daniels is going to be playing my dad, and I'm working with Kate Harwood, who I love as a producer. It was so exciting, and they kind of just put, and I don't know whether that's because my mum and dad had just always been like wanting to keep me grounded or whatever. But that's something that Barbara was. She said, you can't be down. You don't be down on this. This is a brilliant show. It's a flagship show, and don't have that attitude of like,
Yeah.
It's brilliant, and so.
I think there is. We spoke about it with Amy, because she'd done the recent spell on Corrie over Christmas, and. Look at the caliber of actors that are drawn in to take these jobs, and maybe certain storylines are more or less relatable to people, but for a lot of people it is their window to the world, it is their escape, and I think increasingly the soaps over the past 20 years have dealt with really challenging
domestic abuse.
And I also think from an actor's perspective, it is athletic, like the schedule, the demands, the pace, the volume of material.
Learning lines. So we would do something like 20 or 30 pages a day on EastEnders. It was a lot. It was a lot. So you're learning all the time. So me learning lines now is kind of
after that.
Because like you're saying, it was. athletic. Your brain is being put through marathon of words.
I will see Cara in a couple of weeks. I'm going to go and see her and Julian in
Give her a big
The
cuddle.
Constant Wife. Any other message or just a cuddle?
A cuddle and a kiss, and just say, let's please meet up and do something. I would love that. Or even just a cup of tea.
I'll pass that on. Clara, thank you for the question. You've done so much, and there's lots of other projects that I'd love to hear you talk about in the time that we have. What's a piece of work recently that's particularly meant something to you, that's been a real standout passion project? I kind of, in my research, things like Raw, Croydon Cowgirl, Home, The Wolf, like there's so... You're not a great person to research, because the more you look, the more there is to like dive into. Like there's, you do a lot. Like
fingers in pies.
Yeah, indeed. So what are recent projects that have really stood out to you or have great meaning to you?
I mean, like I say, when I was on part of the BAFTA Elevate, and the realisation that I want to write, that I just, that imposter syndrome that everyone talks about. and talking about age as well, like that, it is an actual fact when you hit 40, the parts do dry up, and there are still, that's not to say there's not amazing parts for 40, 50, 60, 70. Of course there's amazing parts for women, but there's less.
Yeah.
And so I was just finding that I was going up for parts where I wouldn't even have a name, and I'd be the wife, but nameless. And I think, God, these wives, they've been through so much. They've had children or haven't had children, and they're so detailed. Women are so complex, and I'm all wheezy with excitement. but instead of like moaning about it, because those people do moan, there's not enough parts. There's not.
But is that a symptom of there not being enough stories about certain experiences? Though, because I mean, the audience is there. Of
course, the audience is there, but you've got to look at people. Who's got the purse strings? Like, who's making the decisions?
And how is that evolving? How is that shifting?
I don't know. I don't know what. Let's find out about who is at the top of all these production companies and or commissioners, and what the ratio is between all sorts. I'd be interested to know, but I do know that from statistics of women in TV and film and Variety and IMDb and all that there's like one good female role for every 10 good male roles, and like 20% of I need to look at the
but it's still skewed is the point, the ratio.
Yeah, like 20% of films are directed by females. Well, you know that with the current Oscar, look at the Oscar categories, and it does seem like what? How come there's only one female like representing?
It's almost a novelty factor rather than a So anyway, so instead of moaning, I wanted to write, and so I wrote what I knew about first of all, and so Raw is something that happened to me as a kid, and I moved it from being in the 80s, 90s to modern day, to have some distance from it, and it's not completely autobiographical again because of having distance, because I just find it difficult to write about, but I really wanted to, because my daughter was becoming the same age as me when something happened, and I just thought I'd buried everything down, and then in the pandemic, and everything just started to bubble up, and of course there wasn't any services. You couldn't go and see a therapist or whatever, and so my husband said, just write, writing will be your therapy. You said you want to write a really good, marry the two together and just do it. And so I did, and I sent it off for this thing called
Not Green Door. That's Idris's company. Green Acre Films, and they had underrepresented writers. If you didn't have an agent and you were from a particular background, you could send your script to them. Anyway, I got whittled down, and then became a finalist. And then part of their service was I was given a script supervisor. So I learnt from her about how to develop my script more and more and take it away, and so I could talk about it, but it have as much authenticity as possible without me going cuckoo.
Yeah.
And then I did a film called Bull with Paul Andrew Williams, brilliant film, and he did London to Brighton. London to Brighton's one of my favourite films as well. And anyway, so did a film called Bull, and when I did my ADR for it, Lorraine Ashbourne was sitting to have her ADR, and I've always wanted to work with her. And so I said to her, I'm really sorry, you probably get this all the time, but I've written a script and I would love it to send it to you. And I know if I send it to your agent, it probably won't get to you. So can I possibly have your email? And I'm not a psycho, and I'm not. And then she was like, yeah, of course. And then so I sent it to her, and she read it within 2 weeks, and she said, this is really powerful. I want to be on board. And then the company who I got involved. I'm jumping ahead. We decided to make it as a podcast drama because it's so hard to get things away with TV. Just in development hell for years and years and years. And my husband is a writer, so I knew from him how hard it is. Great if you're Jack Thorne, but if you're not, it's really hard.
But also increased demand for that medium as well. People are listening to more and more drama through, all forms.
It's the podcast era without a doubt. There's so many. I love podcasts. I love drama. So this brilliant company called Spirit Studios got involved, and we recorded it within 2 sessions. Christiane Ebron Green came on board as the director. He's an amazing director. I worked with her on Call the Midwife, sent her the script and said, I really would love you to be the director, and just called up people and said, would you read it and think about being involved? Then Danny Dyer got involved. I worked with him on Ray Cooney's film Run for Your Wife with Neil Morrissey, and just asked people, and then we just paid them all a little bit of money for their time, not loads, but something, as a gesture, and then recorded it and put it out there. And lots of people got in touch and said about things that had happened to them. And I got in touch with the Children's Society and said, if this ever makes any money, can I please give you some money, because they deal with CSA, and that's how I became ambassador, because I was spreading the word about,
How two things to follow up on that. First of all, you spoke about imposter syndrome at the beginning of that journey. Was it an empowering journey when people began to feed back to you about your work? How did you cope with that? What was that like?
It is empowering, but it's just so. With that in particular, it was really just sad, just how many people have had the same experience.
Right.
And but then that's the great thing about art, about theatre, about film is, look at the post office scandal.
Yeah.
It's had a result because of TV, because of film. People know about it, and I think that is what's brilliant about what we do, is that you can highlight some really dark, disturbing stuff.
So sometimes there is. I almost think of it like a gas leak. Sometimes there is something in the atmosphere that people can't see, and through art or theatre, you ignite it, and suddenly people go,
"Oh wow, yeah."
That we're all experiencing that. How has it's quite a big one, this, but how has your relationship with your work evolved throughout your life and career, and what do you want your work to mean to other people?
Has my work evolved? I'm still as hungry for it as ever. I still have imposter syndrome. I want to do things that matter, that mean things, I suppose, more and more. And
looking at you and your work, I felt that. I feel like, particularly in the past couple of years, it feels like there's something like a purpose burning there, and it feels like that, yeah.
And that's what I want to do. I want I want my kids to be proud of me and not think I'm a complete loser. I want to marry up charities and work and working with mates, and like you say, purpose, but also do it with a light touch. I think things when they're really like rammed down people's throat, they don't want that. People have really hard lives.
Yeah.
Everybody has shit going on, and so you want to do things that are meaningful but fun as well, and not be like holier than thou, because that just isn't my thing.
Yeah. Are you are you a self-aware person? Are you a self-critical person,
Oh my
or are you
God.
are you quite at one with yourself? I'd say a bit. We're both like approaching 40 from the wrong direction, and it was quite a significant milestone for me in that I learned how to say no. I give less of a shit about certain things, and maybe certain kind of vanities and self-consciousness I've like abandoned. Is that something that you've done as you've kind of progressed, or?
Yes, I am good at saying no about certain things, because I just feel overwhelmed sometimes. I've only got as much space in my head as, with, like I say, being a parent, being a wife, and writing and theatre and film and auditions and wanting to do other things, like charity stuff. There's only so much, and you sometimes you have to say no to things because I've got to think about other people, and not be completely all about me all the time. But at the same time, I think sometimes you have to say yes to things as well, because sometimes when you say yes to things, for instance, so I was offered a short film, and it was called Daddy Issues, and my old agent said to me, Kelly, you shouldn't do this because they're only paying it was really like little. It was like £100 or something, and it's going to take off a lot of time, and And I said, well, okay, will you go back to the production company? Because I read the script and I really liked it. It's written by this woman called Mary Sue Mason. I absolutely loved it. And I said, would you go back to them and say, would they pay for my childcare? They pay for my childcare and I've got £100 on top. Okay, that's not much for 2 days' work. But they did. Then it's worth my while a bit more. Anyway, so I said that, can we go back to them and say this? And they said yes. And then she's like, okay, but I still don't think you should do this. And anyway, then Mary Sue ended up doing a commercial for Google. And she said to me, would you do the voiceover for it? I ended up getting really good money. Now, if I hadn't have done that job and really loved her script, it was only for 2 days, I wouldn't have ended up getting that. So sometimes you have to say, when the project really,
there are different metrics for making decisions.
Yes,
it can't just be, there's the head, the heart, and the pocket, and sometimes it's got to be a balance of. And like in that instance, your instinct. We're on the final straight now. You'll be pleased to know.
I'm loving it. What are you talking about? I'm talking about myself. It's great. No.
Don't encourage me, else you'll never escape. We've come to your senses. So you've got a lot going on. It's full on. How do you escape? How do you take 5? How do you find that moment of zen? Is there something you like to watch, read, listen to, a place to go?
I like, well, I said to you before, I don't know if it was recorded, but Crystal Palace Football Club. I'm such a geek. I love watching football. I love watching my son play football. I'm complete, mum football, grassroots. I get as much as enjoyment watching Louis score a goal as I do Mateta. Like, I love it. I love football. My dad was a football coach, and it's just in my blood, and that's how I've made friends with Neil Morrissey. Was sounds like I'm obsessed by him now. Was our love for Crystal Palace.
We'll do a little edit of her Neil Morrissey obsession just to bank that all together.
Stop it, no. But like those connections through football, and so I did Sunday brunch the other week.
Yeah,
and
with your friend Mr. Lovejoy.
Yeah, with Lovejoy, who I used to do
something for the weekend.
But also Soccer AM back in the day. We used to do that together. My friend Robbie Knox was Soccer AM football, and football's has been a really good connection for me to meeting great people, and
it's one of those community things as well, especially at the grassroots level and the clubhouse mentality. Self-indulgently, so when we came to see you, Tim was in that night, and I you never fanboy, and I did resist it, but we were sat right next to him, and like growing up, like Soccer AM in our house was like, it was a religion. It was how you started the football weekend.
Yeah.
And actually, the family thing you mentioned, my younger brother Jam, who was obsessed with Tim Lovejoy, had his first son. They got a baby daughter, but they had a son on Friday, and immediately I get excited at the thought of going and watching them play football, and I love it. Let me ask you this. What's the best mistake you've ever made?
Well, I've got a few. I think, going back to the saying no to things, knowing your own gut and not being steered by an agent sometimes. And I think, especially when you're younger, you get blindsided if you're with a big agency and you think, oh, they know everything. But actually, they don't know your financial position. They don't know your life. They don't really know you. Yeah. And so years ago, I got offered a part in Green Wing. And it was
like a noughties comedy
it was,
show, right? Was it set in the hospital?
It was set, I think it was like 2002 or 3, and it was set in a hospital, and it had Stephen Mangan in it.
That's right.
Anyway, it was a receptionist part. It was like literally 10 lines, and my agent was like, "Oh no, don't do it. We'll get you something much bigger." But I was like, this is really funny, and I want to do it. And also, I've got no money. I'm working in a nursing home, being a bingo caller and clipping people's toenails. And she was like, no, just trust me. And obviously, Green Wing then was massive. Yeah. And the receptionist role grew and grew because what was on the paper, and I have to remember this now. Sometimes when you get asked to just like read for like 2 lines, you never know what's going to develop, what's going to happen, and it's always worth going in for an audition because you don't know about parts later. And so that is that I have to keep remembering. So that was a bad mistake, not listening, and me.
But a useful lesson.
But a really useful lesson. Absolutely, yeah.
Similar question. What's the best advice that you've never been given? So a lesson that you've learnt the hard way.
Oh, I don't know. A lesson I've learnt, probably like things like that. Yeah. Really.
Well, that's fine. They're quite similar questions, so that's fine. If you gave up the arts, the creative industries today, what would you go and do tomorrow?
See, I don't like this question. I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. No, but
That's okay.
I don't believe in plan Bs. I just think just go if you believe in yourself, go for it. You're saying about finding avenues to get into the business. Yeah. Obviously drama school's one, but there's other ways, like being a runner, meeting people. And it's the same with longevity, keeping in the business. Yeah. Other strings to your bow, like writing, like, being a director, other thing, producing stuff. I just love it. I love this business.
Well, it's the first time somebody's rejected a question, but I'm more than comfortable with it. And I don't know whether it's because of the Crystal Palace thing, but you've planted like a Ted Lasso vibe in my mind where I could see you as a good like football coach.
I would love that so much.
I could see you doing that. What advice would you give to yourself right now?
You said about giving yourself am I an actor that gives myself a hard time, that analyses things all the time, and that I critiques myself. I do that, and I think sometimes if you do that too much, you miss the enjoyment of things. Yeah. And actually, you can't actually see yourself, can you? I mean, you can't see yourself on stage. You don't. And when you do self tapes and things like that, or stop being overcritical and you think, oh, actually, it's just a tape. Can they see you can act? Do you look right for the part? Who knows? I just want perfection sometimes. I can do it and do it. And my husband's like, look, you've got 3 goes and that's it. And if you don't get in 3 goes, it's over, because we can do it to death. And you know, they might want somebody 6 foot tall, and you're 5 foot, you know. And so it's knowing that. But my husband does help me with that, because he can't deal with it.
But it is hard.
The obsessiveness, and that's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, 100%. Do you have a question for me? You're allowed a question for me.
Well, I was just wondering about, what do you think about this AI stuff? Do you think it is going to just ruin cinema and television and not having actors? Or do you think, because of human connection and authenticity, that actually we'll find a way through? Because that's something what do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I used to say I find it as scary as I do exciting from a creative perspective. I now find it a lot more scary than I do find it exciting. And I think there's various parts of the creative industries where it adds efficiency and it can help with research or things like that. But I don't think it obviously replaces the live experience and the kind of the intimacy of live performance and organic, spontaneous moments, which I think it and the digitization of our world is creating more of a demand for. I think people are now craving sport and theatre more because it's something that is not premeditated, or I also think, and I can't think, maybe it was Guillermo del Toro I saw talking about it, where they'd given a treatment to 5 different AI agents to create a script for, and they all came back with essentially the same script. A human will never do that, and I see it a little bit like in writing, like where I think what bothers me is people are lazy, right? And if they find a quick, people buy pre-chopped carrots from the supermarket, no shade, like fine. But once people start doing that,
it tastes very nice, did they?
No, but they never go back, right? Once you've started doing that, you're never going to go back to peeling it and chopping it. And I think AI worries me in the industry a little bit like that. I think it will creep in as efficiencies and quick ways of doing things that will rob the human connection and touch point.
Be like the microwave meals.
Yeah.
Instead of cooking something and it be really kind of like wholesome and delicious.
Yeah. Yeah. So I creatively, it doesn't worry me too much. I think people might try and get into it a little bit, but then I think the pendulum will swing back to understanding why we as humans need and nurture real moments. And that's how 2 made me feel. Like I walked out of that play thinking, I want to go back there. I want to go back to how I felt when I was in there, because it was so real. It's why I loved flying before you had Wi-Fi. I love going to the cinema. I love going to the theatre, because like you don't touch your phone. You're there.
Immersed. Present.
So I think there are threats, but I think in a way it will drive a demand for live entertainment and experiences and theatre. The wider film industry, I think there's like a massive shitstorm going on right now, isn't there, with the mergers, and mergers create efficiencies, which means less people doing more work, which means less opportunity for people out there. The offset of that, I think, will be more independent, self-funded.
Yeah, maybe
stuff.
that will have more of a kind of like resurgence, and
I think people will have an appetite for that as well. I don't think they want to be force-fed prequel after requel after sequel of the same stuff. I think people want newer stories, more original content, more relatable content. So
okay, you've made me feel better about stuff.
Well, let's keep an eye on it. Let's keep an eye on it.
I hope you're right.
So many other things that I'm going to drop into our socials that Kellie has worked on and been working on. We'll drop a link to Raw so that you can listen to that piece. Also, so many other pieces, Croydon Cowgirl and the other projects you've been involved in. 2 runs at the Park Theatre in Finsbury until the end of this week.
No, end of 25th.
Sorry. end of the 25th. So people got 2 weeks.
2 weeks to go. Tickets are really cheap. They're like £25, which is a bloody bargain. You're supporting an independent theatre, giving me a job. And it's just written so beautifully by Jim Cartwright. It's on the GCSE syllabus and A-level as well, I think.
Written, directed, performed, set, everything about it. It's a real beautiful piece of theatre.
With some 80s bangers.
With some 80s bangers. Yeah, we did enjoy the playlist. Final question for you. Who should I interview next?
I can't say Neil Morrissey now because it sounds like I've got issues.
He is going to seek legal advice when he sees this, I think.
He's just in my head at the moment because you put him in there.
Say that if you like.
I do think Neil's great though. And okay, there's loads of people. Pete's great, who's my co-star, but he might be a bit tooed out. I'd say that Madeline Appier's fantastic, who she plays my best friend in The Long Run, so she was Idris's missus, but she's an incredible actress. It's like off the scale, and she's done a show at the RSC that goes to the Soho space. I'm trying to think what it's called. I think it's something for the Wind. Something you have to check it out. But Madeline Appiah is just such a gorgeous human being, and doing the same as me and lots of other people having a family and trying to keep buoyant in the industry. And
I think it's so important you talking about that, because again we're talking about representation and people seeing their stories being told. Like it is hard work. It
is. Like you can't go off and do tours really unless you're really lucky or your kids are at a certain age, or it's just hard, or depending on your mum or dad helping,
whatever your network
exactly, your network or friends. And there's auditions I've had to turn down because it's just too expensive, like putting my kids in childcare, or yeah.
Let me ask you one final bolt-on, just because I saw it on your socials, and I think a friend of yours was in it. The Years last year at the Pinter Theatre. I think it was my favourite thing that I saw last year.
I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It was so good. It was Angeli who's in it, who I met through BAFTA Elevate. Again, amazing actress.
Right.
And she was so good. I was like a proud nana just watching her. I could have cried. I think I did cry. And I didn't read anything about it beforehand, so I didn't know what it was about. And it's female driven, female story, and I loved it. I wasn't quite sure about if there was a 10 thing in it, or if it was real, about when Romla Garai does the fainting thing. Did she faint when you see it, when you saw it? I'm
trying to recall. We actually had a bizarre thing where we went to see it where they had to stop the performance.
That's it.
Oh, so you're saying you think? Oh, so now I look like an idiot. So that is a thing then.
Yeah.
So I'm just talking with Kellie about a play that we both enjoyed last week, The Years. Hang on.
Last year?
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, you said last week.
Last week. Sorry, no. The Years that we saw last year at the Pinter. Sorry, yes. That's me. But hang on. So you're saying the faint thing was a thing, because they all stayed on stage.
Yeah, and then there's obviously, the blood and what happens to her, and then somebody collapses in the audience, and then it all goes funny. And when we sat there watching it, there's something that I just thought, is this a bit like the hummus sandwich in One Man Two Guvnors, where someone's got a hummus sandwich? Is that what's going on here? There's something that's not quite right. And now you've confirmed it for me.
Well, likewise, but I had less idea than I didn't have that inclination. I actually remember thinking, oh, this has been well handled. This is all really swift. And they stayed on stage, and then they just seamlessly carried on into it.
Well, they went back a bit, didn't they? Went back a little bit, and then...
Oh, what a muppet I am. Well, I'm glad we discussed that. Not on the podcast for people to see. But
I wasn't sure about it, but I loved it. And obviously that was there for a reason.
I want to read, because it's based on a French novel, I think, maybe. So I would like to read that. But yeah, I thought that was pretty incredible. I really enjoyed
it was.
That.
It really stays with you, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And a year later, we're talking about it.
We've reached the end. You've been an absolute joy, and I knew you would be. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I've had a great time. Really nice chat, and I could talk and talk and talk and talk until my mouth's dry.
Well, let's have you back in the future. But for now, we've been getting notes from Kellie Shirley. Kellie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Shep.